Kerala Electricity Supply Code 2014. Billing and mode of payment for departmental exam, in-service exams, PSC exams, UPSC exams, various other exams, officials and public. 122. General provisions relating to billing. 1. The affecting supply to any premises. The licensee shall inform the consumer the schedule for meter reading, billing and payment. 2. Any subsequent changes in such schedule shall be brought to the notice of the consumer sufficiently in advance. 3. The licensee shall also intimate the consumer of bill dispatch through short message service, SMS, or email if the consumer has furnished requisite details. 4. The billing details of last 6 months along with the payment receipt details for all consumers shall be made available on the website of the licensee. 5. The bill shall be duly authenticated by the officer authorized for this purpose, who shall affix his dated signature, name and designation on the bill. Then 6. The licensee shall issue the first bill within a maximum of 2 billing cycles of energizing a new connection. 7. In case the consumer does not receive the first bill within 2 billing cycles from the date of energization of the connection, he shall intimate the same in writing to the office of the licensee, and the licensee shall issue the bill within the next 15 days. 15 days if not already issued, or issue a duplicate bill if the bill has already been issued. 8. The bill shall be delivered to the consumer or his representative available at the premises immediately in the case of spot billing under acknowledgement. 9. If nobody is available for acknowledging, the bill shall be deposited in the letter box if provided. 10. In all other cases, the licensee shall ensure that the bill is prepared and delivered to the consumer by hand or by post or by courier or by email within 3 days from the date of meter reading, and that the due date of payment is fixed as the 10th day of the date of meter reading or any day thereafter. 11. If a consumer does not receive the bill within 7 days of the date of issue of the bill, he may obtain a duplicate bill from the concerned billing office of the licensee. 12. The licensee shall issue a duplicate bill immediately if the consumer contacts the office of the licensee in person or telephonically, provided that non-receipt of the bill shall not entitle the consumer to delay payment beyond the due date stipulated in the original bill. Then 123. Information to be provided in the bill. The following information shall be included in the bill. A. Address and telephone number of the billing office or distribution center. B. Bill number and period of bill. C. Name and address of the consumer and consumer number with location code. D. Pole number or distribution pillar reference from which connection is served and name of subdivision or center. E. Date of issue of bill. F. Tariff category of consumer, that is domestic, commercial, industrial, etc. G. Tariff rate of electricity duty and cess applicable. H. Status of meter. Defective, okay, not available. Then I. Billing status. Assessed, regular, provisional bill, special bill with reason. J. Supply details. Subsection 1. J. Supply details. Subsection 1. Subsection 1. J. Supply details. Subsection 1. Type of supply. Single phase, 3 phase, LT, HT, or EHT. J. Subsection 2, contracted load or connected load. Then K. Meter number and identification details of meter. In case the meter was replaced during the billing period, the bill shall include the meter numbers of new as well as old meter, date of replacement, final reading of old meter, and initial reading of new meter at the time of replacement of meter. L. Opening meter reading with date. M. Closing meter reading with date. N. Multiplication factor of the meter if any. O. Units consumed. P. Maximum demand, power factor, etc. if applicable. Q. Due date of payment. R. Item-wise billing details for the current month, such as 1. Energy charges, 2. Fixed charges, 3. Meter rent if any, 4. Capacitor charges, 5. Other charges if any, 6. Electricity duty, 7. Fuel cost adjustment charges, 8. Fuel cost adjustment charges, 9. Power factor adjustment charges if any, 10. Reactive energy charges if any, 11. Time of use charges if any, 12. Penal charges for delay if any, 13. Interest on installments due, 14. Total demand for the current month, 15. Arrears with details, 16. Details of subsidy if any, 17. Others with details, 18. Total amount due, 19. Adjustment, 18. Adjustment. Then 19. Net amount to be paid. Then S. Mode of payment accepted. T. In case of checks and bank drafts, the receiving authority in whose favor the amount shall be drawn. U. Security deposit held and required. V. Advance already paid. W. Details of last 6 readings. Then 2. The following information shall also be provided along with the bill. A. Address of collection center and their working hours. B. Schedule of collection by mobile collection center, if any, at different venues. C. Designation and address of the authority with whom grievance or complaints pertaining to bills may be lodged. D. Address and telephone number of the Consumer Grievance Redressal Forum and the Ombudsman constituted under Section 42 of the Section 42 of the Act. E. Tariff schedule applicable to the consumer. F. Date of disconnection if payment is not made within the due date. G. Complete address and telephone number of consumer service center of the licensee, if any, for seeking clarification. H. Additional information, if any, as decided by the licensee. Provided that the bill shall not become invalid only because of any one or more item of information are absent in the bill. Then 124. Procedure for billing when meter not accessible. 1. If the licensee is not able to access the meter for reading, a provisional bill may be issued on the basis of the average consumption of the previous 3 billing cycles. 2. The licensee shall ensure that such provisional billing does not extend to more than 2 billing cycles at a stretch, and there are not more than 2 provisional bills generated for a consumer during one financial year. 3. The provisional bill shall be adjusted on the basis of the subsequent actual meter reading. Then 125. Procedure for billing in the case of defective or damaged meter. 1. In the case of defective or damaged meter, the consumer shall be billed on the basis of average consumption of the past 3 billing cycles immediately preceding the date of the meter being found or reported defective, provided that the average shall be computed from the 3 billing cycles after the meter is replaced if required details pertaining to previous billing cycles are not available, provided further that any evidence given by consumer about conditions of working and occupancy of the concerned premises during the said period which might have had a bearing on energy consumption shall also be considered by the licensee for computing the average. Then 2. Charges based on the average consumption as computed above shall be levied only for a maximum period of 2 billing cycles, during which time the licensee shall replace the defective or damaged meter with a correct meter. 3. In case the maximum demand indicator MDI of the meter at the installation of the consumer is found to be faulty or not recording at all, the demand charges shall be calculated based on maximum demand during corresponding months or billing cycle of the previous year when the meter was functional and recording correctly. 4. In case the recorded maximum demand MD of corresponding month or billing cycle of past year is also not available, the average maximum demand as available for lesser period shall be considered, provided that the above subregulation shall not be applicable in the case of a tampered meter, for which appropriate action under the provisions of the Act shall be initiated by the licensee. Then 126. Procedure for billing in the case of lost meters. 1. In the case of meters reported as lost, electricity charges for the period for which the meter was not available shall be assessed as below. A. As per regulation 155 of the code, 155 of the code, if it is established in the inquiry conducted by the licensee that the loss of meter was due to a deliberate act of the consumer or with his connivance. B. As per subregulation 3 of regulation 119 of the code in other cases. Then 127. Special reading and billing of meters in case of changes of occupancy or vacating of the premises. 1. It shall be the responsibility of the consumer to get a special reading taken by the licensee at the time of change of occupancy of the premises or its falling vacant, and to obtain, after paying the dues, a no due certificate from the licensee. 2. The consumer shall request in writing to the licensee for special reading to be taken at least 15 days in advance of the vacating of premises or change of the occupancy, as the case may be, provided that the licensee may accept a notice of shorter period. Then 3. The licensee shall arrange to take a special reading of the meter within 7 days of receiving the written request of the consumer and issue a final bill including all arrears till the date of billing at least 7 days before change of occupancy or vacating of the premises. 4. The final bill thus issued shall mention that no longer dues are pending on the premises and that the bill is final. 5. The final bill shall also include charges for the period between the date of special reading and date of vacating of premises on a pro rata basis. 6. Once the final bill is preferred, the licensee shall not have any right to recover any charge other than those in the final bill for any period prior to the date of such bill. The licensee shall On the request of the consumer, disconnect supply to the premises on its falling vacant. Then 7. It shall be the sorry. Then 7. It shall be the responsibility of the consumer to make payment as per the final bill on or before vacating the premises, and the licensee shall accordingly issue a no dues certificate on receiving such payment, provided that in the case of change of occupancy, the connection shall not be disconnected. Then 128. Payment on self-assessment by the consumer. 1. In case of non-receipt of bill, the consumer may remit its self-assessed electricity charges assessed as per the format specified in Annexure 16(1)(6) to the code for the period for which bill has not been received, provided that such self-assessed electricity charges shall not be less than the charge for the average consumption during the previous 6 months. 2. The excess or deficit payment, if any, made by the consumer on self-assessment shall be adjusted in the next 2 bills. Then 129. Advance payment of bills. 1. The distribution licensee shall provide to the consumers the facility to make advance payment of electricity charges on application in the format under Annexure 17(1)(7). 2. Rebate at rates approved by the Commission shall be allowed for the advance payment if it is equal to or more than the bill amount of previous 12 months. 3. Rebate once given shall not be revoked on any account. 4. On payment of the advance amount in accordance with sub-regulation 1 above, the distribution licensee shall issue a receipt to the consumer for the amount held as advance. Then 5. Bills of the consumers opting for this arrangement shall show the amount deposited by the consumer, amount adjusted against the electricity dues for each billing cycle, and the balance left. Then 130. Disputed bills. 1. Any complaint with regard to accuracy of the bill shall be made in writing to the officer designated by the licensee to issue the bill. 2. On receipt of the complaint regarding a bill, such designated officer shall issue a written or electronic acknowledgement on the spot and give a complaint number for reference. 3. Obvious errors such as calculation errors shall be rectified and corrected bill shall be issued on the same day by such designated officer who issued the bill. 4. On a complaint by any consumer regarding the correctness of a bill, the designated officer of the licensee shall immediately carry out a review. 5. If the review establishes that the bill is incorrect, the designated officer of the licensee shall issue a revised bill with all necessary particulars within 3 working days and appropriately adjust the account of the consumer. 6. The consumer shall be given clear 15 days time for payment of the amount as per the corrected bill, and he shall not be charged any penalty if the payment is made on or before the revised due date. 7. If the complaint was found to be incorrect, the consumer shall immediately be notified and directed to make payment as per the original bill, and the consumer shall be liable to pay interest on late payment if the payment is made after the due date of payment as per the original bill. 8. While communicating the decision on the review of the bill, the licensee shall advise the consumer in writing about his right to prefer an application against the decision of the licensee before the Consumer Grievance Redressal Forum (CGRF) and further to prefer appeal before the Ombudsman. Then 131. Payment of bills and interest for belated payment. 1. The consumer shall pay to the licensee the full amount of the bill on or before the due date indicated therein, for which the licensee shall issue a receipt. 2. If the consumer fails to remit the bill amount on or before the due date, the licensee is entitled to recover interest on the amount of the bill at the rates specified in the schedule of miscellaneous charges as per Schedule 1 of the Code. 3. Consumers shall be permitted to remit the amount of the bill with interest as specified in the sub-regulation 2 above within an extended period of 15 days from the due date specified in the bill. 4. If the consumer fails to remit the amount even within such extended period, the licensee may disconnect the supply in accordance with the procedure specified in Chapter 8 of the Code. 8 Roman letter 8 of the Code. 5. Consumer may pay the amount of the bill in accordance with the mode of payment as specified in Regulation 137. 6. If in the case of dishonor of the instrument of payment of the consumer, the licensee may initiate action for disconnection, for non-payment, and for any other legal proceedings against the consumer in accordance with the provisions of the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881, 1881, Central Act 26 of 1881, Central Act 26 of 1881, and such other relevant laws. 7. The consumer shall be allowed to make payment of the bills by check or demand draft, which can be handed over in person at the designated collection offices of the licensee during working hours, or by dispatching them by post or courier, or by depositing them in the drop boxes to be maintained by the licensee at designated locations. 8. The licensee shall also develop and offer to the consumer modern facilities such as bank transfer, online payment. 8. The licensee shall also develop and offer to the consumer modern facilities such as bank transfer, online payment, debit card, credit card, and anywhere payment system for receiving the bill amount, with a view to providing better services to the consumer and ensuring faster collection. 9. The licensee shall establish a sufficient number of collection centers at suitable locations with the necessary facilities, and provide, as far as possible, separate collection counters for senior citizens and physically challenged persons. 10. Where the due date indicated for payment of the bill falls on a Sunday or public day, the payment shall be made on the next working day. Then 132. Receipt for the payment of the bill. 1. Receipt shall be given to the consumer for every payment of the bill made in cash, and such amount of payment shall be credited to the amount of the consumer on the date of such receipt. 2. In the case of payment of the bill by money order, the amount received by money order shall be credited to the account of the consumer on the date of receipt of money order. 3. In the case of payment by demand draft, or by banker's check, or by check issued by the consumer payable at par in any of the branches of the banks situated within the jurisdiction of the local office of the licensee, or realizable through bank clearing houses in which such branches of banks are members, the licensee shall give credit to the account of the consumer on the same day of the receipt of such demand draft or check, provided that if the check is issued by the consumer is dishonored on presentation for collection, the licensee may initiate action as far as the provisions of the code, as though the payment has not been made on the date of presentation of such check, in addition to the criminal proceedings as per the relevant provision of Negotiable Instruments Act 1881, 1881, and such other laws. 4. In the case of payment by demand draft or by banker's check or by check issued by the consumer payable at any branch of the bank situated outside the jurisdiction of the local office of the licensee. Such demand draft or banker's check or check issued by the consumer shall be sent for collection on the same day or on the next working day, and the proceeds of such instruments shall be credited to the account of the consumer on the date of receipt of such proceeds. 5. In the case of payment by online transfer through bank or by online payment using credit card or debit card or by remittance by bank on the standing instruction of the consumer or by any such electronic clearing service, the amount received by the licensee shall be credited to the account of the consumer on the very same day of such receipt. 6. In all cases, including the payment in person, the payments shall be acknowledged in the next bill. Then 133. Appropriation of the amount received. All payments made by the consumer shall be adjusted in the following order of priority. 1. Interest on electricity duty arrears. 2. Electricity duty arrears. 3. Interest on electricity charge arrears. 4. Electricity charge arrears. 5. Dues of current month. Then 134. Undercharged bills and overcharged bills. 134. 134. Undercharged bills and overcharged bills. 1. If the licensee establishes either by review or otherwise that it has underchanged the consumer, the licensee may recover the amount so underchanged from the consumer by issuing a bill, and in such cases at least 30 days shall be given to the consumer for making payment of the bill. 2. If after payment of any bill it is established that the licensee has overcharged the consumer, the excess amount shall be refunded to the consumer with interest at bank rate as on the date of remittance of such excess amount. 3. The licensee may refund such overcharged amount along with interest at bank rate as on the date of remittance of such overcharged amount by way of adjustment in the 3 subsequent bills, and if the adjustment is not possible in the next 3 bills, the licensee shall refund the balance amount in full by check. Then 135. Installment facility and incentive for early payment. The licensee may formulate a scheme for providing to the consumers installment facility for payment of bills and incentive for early payment and implement the scheme with the prior approval of the Commission. Then 136. Recovery of arrears and its limitations. 1. The licensee shall be entitled to recover arrears of charges or any other amount due from the consumer along with interest at the rates applicable for belated payments from the date on which such payments become due. 2. The licensee may prefer a claim for such arrears by issuance of demand notice, and the consumer shall remit the arrear amount within the due date indicated in the demand notice. 3. No such sum due from any consumer on account of default in payment shall be recoverable after a period of 2 years from the date when such sum becomes first due, unless such sum has shown continuously as recoverable arrear of charges for electricity supplied. Then 4. If the consumer fails to remit the amount of arrears with interest on or before the due date indicated in the bill or in the demand notice, the licensee may disconnect the supply of electricity after giving notice and initiate proceedings for the recovery of the arrears in accordance with the relevant legal provisions. Then 5. The licensee may formulate a scheme for one-time settlement of long-pending arrears and implement the scheme with prior approval of the Commission. provided that such one-time settlement schemes shall be open only for short duration. Then 137, mode of payment. 1. The consumer may make payment to the licensee by way of check, demand draft, money order, or cash, provided that cash shall be accepted only for payments up to and including 20,000 rupees. Provided further that outstation check and demand drafts of any scheduled bank payable at par at any of its branches shall also be accepted towards payment of charges due to the licensee. 2. The licensee shall make available to the consumers within 6 months the facility for new mode of payment, namely bank transfer, online payment, etc. Thank you.